Hello everyone, welcome to our Thursday night Facebook Live. My gosh, last week I was having camera troubles too. Okay, welcome. I think we should start over, shouldn't we? Today has been a busy, great day. And I'll be honest with you, it was just like an hour ago that I realized I put my shirt on backwards this morning. And so that kind of sums up how my day has gone. Anyways, so here we are. I'm really excited to be chatting with you guys tonight because this particular topic has been asked a few different times in the group, but more so I'm finding that people are emailing into me and they are wondering all about food sensitivities because here's what's happening. And if this is you, let me know in the comments with a big fat yes. Typically what I'm hearing from people is that they are eating foods and they can't seem to figure out which ones are causing problems for them because they'll eat something one day and feel totally fine, but eat it the next day and be paying super hard. So if that is you, give me a yes in the comments because that's one of the number one things that people are emailing in. And they're also saying that they're having a hard time figuring out what's causing the problem because they keep eliminating all these different foods, but their symptoms aren't getting any better. So if that's you, let me know in the comments because this Facebook Live tonight is definitely for you. We're talking all about food sensitivities tonight. And there's a couple really important things you should know that other practitioners are not talking about when they're selling you food sensitivity testing. And most of the practitioners are doing these tests wrong. So don't waste your hard-earned dollars, guys. You need to watch this first before you know what you need to do next, but before you also go and spend money on these expensive tests. They're not cheap. In fact, they're usually, depending on the tests that you get and depending how many foods they test, will range anywhere to $200 to $500. Like that's not chump change, guys. That is like a good hefty amount right out of your monthly budget, and that test isn't even going to fix your gut. So let's talk tonight about what the heck is a food sensitivity, because some of you guys might have this a little bit confused and you didn't even know it, but I'm also going to help you figure out what foods you're actually sensitive to, right? Like, do you really need to be eliminating all these foods? All right, Kristen's saying that's a big fat yes on the second one. All right, so glad we're not alone here. Alrighty, so my cat is swatting my feet at the moment. So let's start with what the heck is a food sensitivity? So it's interesting because, food sensitivities, this term has become a bit of a buzzword. Everyone's talking about it. And everyone's saying they've got food sensitivities. And is that really the case? I don't know. Let's talk a bit more about it. What you need to know is that there's a big difference between a food sensitivity and an actual allergy. Okay, so I'm going to just start with an allergy is actually an immune response. Okay, it's an immune response, and even the smallest amount of food, if you're allergic to it and you eat it, can cause great damage and great illness. So it can make you tremendously ill if you are allergic to a food and you eat it. So think of like celiac disease. If you eat the gluten, it will make you sick. That is an allergy. That is not a sensitivity. Okay. Now, when we start to talk about food sensitivities, though, what the heck is that? Well, here's the thing. When a person has difficulty digesting a food, I want you to remember this because I'm going to talk about it again later. When a person has difficulty digesting a food, that is a food sensitivity. It's not an immune response. It is a gut response. So important, guys. So important. Please remember that. So when we're talking about food sensitivities, we're talking about what we call an IgG response, whereas a food allergy is an IgE response. Both of these can be tested through blood, okay? So if your IgG is being tested, that's a sensitivity. If your IgE is being tested, that's an allergy. So most doctors don't do sensitivity testing. They do IgE, allergy immune response testing. Okay, that's where you see they'll scratch the skin, see if you have an allergic response. That is allergy testing. Very, very different stuff, guys, and very different responses. So what I want you to really take away from this and really listen in here is that it's not the food, it's your gut. Remember, a food sensitivity is when a person has difficulty digesting a food. It didn't say when you eat a food and the food is the enemy, it is a sensitivity. It is when your gut is not able to break down that food that a food sensitivity response is going to occur. Okay, so it is not the food, it is your gut. So this is why people are going about it all wrong. The answer does not lie in the food, guys. The answer lies in your gut. So when we start to talk about how the heck do you determine what your food sensitivities are, this is where it becomes really important that you get it super clear so that you're not wasting your money, but you're also getting accurate results. So Missy and Carolyn in our Love Your Guts IBS support group, our free Facebook group, they had this question earlier today. We've been chatting all about food sensitivities, and they were wondering, like, how the heck do you determine your food sensitivities? I'm going to walk you through those tonight. So for you two especially, listen up. So here's the wrong way of trying to figure out your food sensitivities. Elimination diet. Elimination diet. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, like, this chick is out to lunch. She didn't know what she's talking about. Let me just tell you right now, elimination diet, again, is not going to fix your gut. Here's why. It's not the food, remember? It's a gut response. It's a gut response. So you can eliminate the foods till you are blue in the face. The issue is that your gut is not breaking down these foods. So when you eliminate a food that your gut is struggling with, sure, you might temporarily remove a symptom. But the second that you bring that food back in, if you have not fixed your gut, your symptoms are going to come back fast and furious. Because while you were eliminating those foods and perhaps not fixing the underlying issue, that underlying issue continues to get worse. And listen, guys, it is not your fault. I totally understand where you're coming from. I too had IBS. I used to fluctuate with diarrhea and constipation, and before I became a registered holistic nutritionist, I used to go into these health food stores and I was like absolutely convinced I'm going to figure out how to fix my bowels because I can't live like this anymore. So I'd go into the store and I'd buy a super expensive fancy probiotic and I'd take it home and I'd start taking it, and when that didn't work, I'd try a different one. And when that didn't work, I'd try something else. And then I found myself following super restrictive diets, and none of it worked. In fact, my gut continued to get worse because I wasn't fixing the underlying issues. So guys, the elimination diet isn't going to fix it because the answer is in your gut. It's not the food's fault. So the other thing that isn't going to work is food sensitivity testing. This also might be like, say what? Food sensitivity testing? That's not going to tell me what my food sensitivities are? Well, yes and no. We're going to dive into a little bit more details, but what I want you to know about food sensitivity testing is that it can give you false negative responses. Now, someone, I think it was Sylvia in the group today, she was chatting and she said she heard that food sensitivity tests were bogus. Not quite. It's not that they're bogus, but you can get a false negative response if you don't do these critical things first before you do testing. You see, remember, again, I'm going to say it again, guys, the issue is not the food, it's your gut. When a person has difficulty digesting a food, they get food sensitivities. So if you go in and your gut is a hot mess, of course you're reacting to foods. Of course your food sensitivity results are going to come back all lit up that you're alert or you're sensitive to everything, right? So of course it's going to be a hot mess. And then all that's going to happen is you are going to feel super frustrated and super overwhelmed when you're trying to figure out how to eliminate every food out there, right? Am I right? Who here has done food sensitivity testing before, got the results back, and it listed a whole bunch of random foods like bananas and artichokes and dairy and eggs and gluten and rice and quinoa and like all these random foods, and you're like, whoa, I'm pretty sure that that's all the foods that I eat. What the heck do I eat now? Who here has experienced that? Give me a yes in the comments. Okay, Sylvie, yes. Sylvie said, I definitely had false negative responses. So who was it? It was Julia and Laura. So Julia and Laura, you two gals were asking in the group today. Again, guys, if you haven't joined us yet in our free Facebook community, Love Your Guts IBS support group, come on over. We're having tons of conversation around fixing your gut and having perfect poops. So you got to come on in. Now, Julia and Laura, they had listed all of the foods that they were sensitive to. This piece is for you guys and anyone else who's experienced this. If you've had, again, food sensitivity results come back and you have all these random foods that are showing as reactive, this is a sign that you very likely have leaky gut. It's not actually a food sensitivity. Remember, it's your gut. So if you're getting all sorts of different random foods that you are sensitive to or you're reacting to, there's a strong chance you actually have leaky gut. And we need to fix that, not eliminate the food. Okay, we're getting a bunch of yeses in the comments. Karen's saying, girl, it showed I'm sensitive to everything. That ain't the case. Guys, do we really believe that we're not supposed to eat anything? Do we really believe that our bodies were built to reject all foods? No, it's your gut needs some loving. It needs a bit of support, and that's why we got to fix that. Okay, so leaky gut. This is where we're going to dive in a little bit deeper here, guys. How the heck do you determine your food sensitivities then? Are you guys ready to jump into this? Who's here? Who's ready? Jump in the comments, say, yes, I'm ready. I am so ready to figure out what to eat. So the worst thing is when you are trying to navigate through what the heck you should be eating, and it feels like you can't even go out and enjoy food with your friends or family. It feels like you can't go out to restaurants. You're scared to go out and enjoy family functions or anywhere that there's food, quite frankly, because you're terrified of what to eat. Like you're not sure what's going to give you a reaction, what's going to make things worse. So, one of the number one things that we really need to do first before we try to figure out food sensitivities is we need to fix your gut. We need to fix your gut because, as I said, guys, remember your gut, when it is struggling to break down a food, when you eat, those foods are going to sit in your gut. They're going to rot. This is what they call gut rot. They will ferment. And that fermentation creates a gas buildup. That's where the reaction is. It's not the food. So we actually need to not be addressing the food head on as the primary thing. It's a piece of the puzzle, but we need to go in and fix the other pieces of the gut first. And what happens is we start to declutter the symptoms. Okay, so we need to start to fix and strengthen the gut so that we can declutter the symptoms so that then we see what we're actually working with. Food sensitivity testing is the last thing that I do with my clients. It is the last thing. It is after we have fixed the gut, strengthened the gut, done the repair work, put them on a complete gut repair system. If a food sensitivity is still presenting itself, if there are still some small nagging symptoms, they have improved drastically, but there's still like these nagging little things happening, then we will test. And that is when we will get a true reading of if there's a food sensitivity or not. Your gut, if it is unhappy, is going to react to all the foods. If your solution to that is to eliminate all the foods, you, my friend, are going to run out of foods to eat. You're going to run out of foods to eat. So you need to start with fixing your gut, and you need to do it with a complete gut repair system. So fixing your gut does need to look at foods, okay? You do need to address your foods, and we're going to talk about what that looks like. But there are so many other pieces. There's damage that's been done. There's deficiencies that have been created, and your body is depleted. So we have to fully heal the gut while we're working with the diet. Okay, so the first thing you need to do in order to figure out what your actual sensitivities are is fix the gut. Now, the second thing that you need to do is eliminate inflammatory foods. Now, let me just backtrack because I'm seeing a ton of people with questions. Okay, everyone's saying, yes, I'm ready. Yeah, so Laura said, I didn't actually have testing done. I was just listening to the things that cause me constipation and lots of bloating. Totally okay, Laura. Still the same answer though. If you guys haven't even done food sensitivity testing, but you're just finding like your body is straight up pissed with all the foods, it's still the same answer. Okay, still the same answer. If your body's reacting to all sorts of different things, there's a really good chance that you have leaky gut going on. All right, what are some of the other things going on here? Okay, Tracy said, yes. Everyone's saying yes, absolutely. Okay, Kathy said, how do I fix my gut? Such a great question. There's so many moving parts when it comes to fixing your gut. That's why we teach a full, complete 4-step gut repair system in our Love and Trust Your Guts program. But every single person is on a customized maximum nutrition plan. So not one of my clients is on the same program because each of your individual bodies needs customized support. Okay, so I don't have just a straight up answer for you because we got to find out what's going on in your body. We got to talk about and test what's going on in your body and then get you on that complete system. Okay, Sylvia's saying, get me on that system. Amazing. You can message me, girl. We'll jump on the phone together and see if you're the right fit for the program. Okay, so let's talk about eliminating inflammatory foods. While we're also fixing the gut, we do need to reduce the inflammation happening in the body. Remember, if your body is struggling to digest a food, if the response or the food sensitivity is due to the body struggling to digest, we need to help it digest. We need to let a load off. So if you are eating all of these inflammatory foods, that is going to send your body through the roof. You're going to constantly be fighting inflammation within your gut, and so that is going to continue to trigger symptoms. So we need to let a load off the body and give it easy to digest foods so that, again, we can declutter the symptoms that are going on so that when we're fixing the gut, and you're eating foods, we're going to get a real clear, accurate read on what your body thinks about a food. If it's always pissed off, then it ain't going to matter what you eat. You are going to be having this response constantly. You're going to be constantly getting the gas, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation because your body is in reaction all the time. So let's talk about some of the things that you can swap out that are causing inflammation. So definitely dairy and gluten. And no one loves hearing that. No one loves hearing that. Everyone, I'm not going to say everyone, many people think that it is just a fad. It ain't a fad, guys. Whether you have a food sensitivity to dairy or gluten or not, it is inflammatory, period. Okay? It's inflammatory. It's not serving you. I've written a ton of blogs on this stuff. You can jump over to our website and read up on them as to the dirty details of what's actually going on when you eat dairy or gluten. But what I'm going to do to just keep it sweet and short and sweet tonight is know that it is absolutely inflammatory. And what I'll say is, if you've ever noticed when you're eating dairy or gluten and afterwards you get like that phlegmy throat going on and you're like, and you're trying to clear your throat, if that's you, that's because your body is producing mucus to try and push that food through your system. It's saying, I can't digest this. Like, get off of me, get out of me. So mucus is a really clear sign that there's inflammation happening. So whether you have mucus happening like in your throat, having to clear it, or you're pooping out mucus, let that be noted. Your body is asking for help. So dairy and gluten gotta go. If you guys are looking for some swaps for dairy and gluten, let me know in the comments and I will definitely jump in there first thing tomorrow morning and give you guys some different recipe ideas, some of my go-to swaps, and we can talk about some other things too. Okay, Lori's saying, I'm not 100% dairy and gluten free yet, but just reducing it and I can feel a difference. Amazing. It makes a world of difference. And I'll just say this as well, guys. You're either dairy-free, gluten-free, or you're not. You're either eating it or you're not. Okay, so you might be dairy-free, gluten-free for 6 days of the week, and Saturday night rolls around and you're like, pizza! You ain't dairy-free, gluten-free, and that's okay. But just to let you know that any amount of food is either helping or hurting. There's no in between. It's helping or it's hurting. That's it. That's it, okay? So let's just get you equipped with some super delicious swaps. Pizza, I love pizza. I love pizza. Pizza does not like me. Does not like me. So I have got pizza, dairy-free, gluten-free, licked. All right, so we just need to get you equipped with some great swaps so that it feels easy. It's not about starvation. It's about replenishing your body with all of the foods that are going to promote healing so that, again, you can get a true, accurate read on where your food sensitivities actually are. So let's talk about some other foods you need to eliminate before crossing that food sensitivity bridge. Sugar. If you are craving sugar, it's not you, my friend. It's the bacteria. It's not you. If you're craving sugar, there's a good chance that there's an imbalance in your microbiome or your good and bad bacteria. And so what's happening is anytime you are not eating sugar, those bad bacteria can be like, hey, I'm hungry down here. Throw me some sugar. Give me a chocolate bar. How about that ice cream or donut or whatever? Right? So it's the bad bacteria that crave the sugar. So we need to get that swapped out. Now, it's not just as simple as just starving the buggers. You're just going to piss them off then, but I'm going to encourage you right away. Let's swap that sugar. To start with, honey would be my first recommendation. Maple syrup would be my secondary. But if you want to go full gung-ho with me, I'd say let's try something like stevia or even monk fruit. Now, some of you might be thinking or about to like jump in the comments frivolously like, stevia? That's gross. I get it. I get it. Some stevia tastes like butt. All right. There are great quality stevias on the market. I personally use sweet leaf stevia and I find it doesn't have that bitter aftertaste. If you're finding that there's a weird aftertaste, usually that's an indicator of the quality of the stevia. All right. Monk fruit is another delicious one. And so I encourage you to check those out. Alcohol, gotta go. Super inflammatory, swap it out. I'd rather you do something like kombucha, even though it's super high in sugar. Pardon me. Okay, I'm alive again. I would rather you do kombucha as a swap for alcohol. As I said, kombucha is quite high in sugar, guys. I don't actually encourage kombucha, especially as a solution for replenishing your good bacteria. Kombucha is a fancy pop. Use it as a treat. So if you need to have a treat like an alcoholic beverage, do a kombucha instead or sparkling water. There's tons of delicious options on the market. Okay, what else is going on in the comments here? Laura says, yes, sweet leaf stevia is great. It so is. I love it. I use their, they've got these stevia tabs. And I make my gut healing hot chocolate recipe with those. Just 2 of those suckers is perfect. Okay. Sherry's saying alcohol hurts my stomach. It hurts a lot of tummies out there. It's tough on your tummy. It's really tough on your tummy. And there's so many delicious swaps out there. Even guys, like a virgin Caesar, my fave. I love a virgin Caesar. Just do a virgin drink, sugar-free. Sugar-free. right? But these are some really great places to start. Again, the goal with swapping out these inflammatory foods is to declutter the inflammation and symptoms so that when we're fixing the gut, then we will be able to get the body to communicate clearly what it's loving and what it's hating. Okay? All right. So once you have done that, once you have fixed your gut, you've done all of the deep underlying work, you've followed a complete gut repair system, and you have eliminated inflammatory foods as part of that gut repair system, then again, if symptoms are persisting, then you can do food sensitivity testing. Food sensitivity testing is really quite simple, guys. You typically have to go and see a holistic practitioner to have it done, and it's a prick of the finger. They fill up a small little vial or tube of blood and ship that off to the lab, and they can do a panel of different foods. I will say that if you're going that far, if you have gotten that far that you're needing food sensitivity testing, spend the extra money and get as many foods on that list as possible. If you are going to invest your hard-earned dollars to get food sensitivity testing done, don't cheap out and go for like the $200 one that only gives you 30 foods. Get as many foods as possible on that list so that you can have the peace of mind that you know exactly where each of these foods lies with your body. All right? So guys, that's it for tonight. I hope this was super helpful. If it was, I'd love for you to give it a like and a share. Share it with your friends, because I'll tell you, so many people are struggling with food, and I want to make sure that we get you the confidence with your food so that you don't have to be scared of eating, so that you can enjoy foods, because the activity here is not to follow super restrictive diets. We need to make sure that we have a variety of foods that are helping to feed our good bacteria. Make sense? Okay, guys, I'm jumping off for tonight. We're going to see you guys next week. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye.